Night of drama on Thursday, nowhere more so than in North London at the Emirates, where Arsenal were playing Olympiacos in the Europa League. Arsenal, of course, were 1-0 up from the away leg in Perez. Olympiacos had lost 10 of their last away games in Europe. This is Arsenal, though. So, of course, the Greek side scored to take it to extra time. And then scenes as Aubameyang pulled off an incredible overhead kick to put the Gunners ahead on aggregate again with just minutes left, and the fans went wild. Here's a fan going wild. Look at him. Look at his face. Yeah, and this is him a couple of minutes after. Ian, what happened?
What's it? The winner for, I think it's El Hadjar. I can't remember what his name was. He scored a fantastic goal. And
Al-Arabi.
Al-Arabi, that's the guy. You know, and it just, you know what? He broke my heart, man.
I'm sorry, Ian.
He broke my heart, and so did you, lot, showing me that it's broke my heart again.
Do you know what? You've been here so many times before, and I have the feeling it might happen again. But last night, when Arsenal's defence switched off for the cross from which Al-Arabi put them back ahead on the night and on away goals on aggregate, what did you feel? I mean, did you feel all this talk of the Arteta revival, but there we are again? Yes,
and, you know, I got to say, when Mustafi went off, who was, for me, was brilliant yesterday, he seemed to be in the way of all of those crosses last night, and it was evident to see that once he wasn't there, that ball went so far to the... And then my mate scored, Al-Arabi scored. It was that time where, first time for a long time, I've missed Mustafi, and I'm delighted that he's showing some form, but it's just devastating.
All right, you can focus on the league now, of course.
Yes, we can. Yeah,
there is
we're going to try. We're going to have a run for the league. I think we could pip Liverpool.
All right, then. Well, yeah, nice to see you putting a brave face on it. Of course, Olympiacos will continue in the Europa League, and they'll be taking on Wolves in the last 16 in a fortnight's time. We'll be talking about Wolves very shortly. Man United are also through. They got Linz out of Austria. Before they do any of that, though, they've got Everton this Sunday in the Premier League. Yeah, we're waiting for Carlo Ancelotti, but we can hear from United, boss. Oh.
Yeah,
we have missed that box opener that Bruno is proving to be now. It was one or two pieces missing, and we still know that we miss one or two to be where we want to be. But it's a work in progress. Kieran, Michael, fantastic on the training ground, I have to say. The coaching and the boys are willing to learn, and now we've got more and more fit players as well.
On everything.
Smile on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's face, as it generally is. Now, this trip to Goodison Park to take on Everton, that was the scene of one of his worst ever moments, and there's been some competition, as Man United manager when they lost their 4-0 last season. Glenn, am I right in believing that this Man United now, though, is different?
Yes, I think it's different than then, for sure. How far different, how far it's gone up the ladder, I'm not so sure at this moment in time. Yeah, they had a great win in the week. Fernandes looks a really good prospect, good player. Whether he's going to be able to do it against the top quality teams, we'll wait and see. But he certainly looks a player that, without Pogba in the side, that United needed, without a doubt. So I think they've got something to sort of build round him and find the right position. But no, they're a better side than they were at the early stages of the season, without any shadow of a doubt. But so are Everton, and that's the key. That's the key.
Yes.
On the subject of Bruno Fernandes, the stats are pretty remarkable in terms of the impact that he's having on Man United's season in the 3 games that he's played, or 4 in the Europa League as well. Rafa, one of the questions, apart from the fact as to what extent he's cured United's ills, is why he didn't arrive earlier. Paul Scholes certainly raising that topic midweek. What's the backstory there?
I think United were not 100% sold on him in the summer, not for the price that Sporting or Benfica, one of the two, Sporting were asking. And I think things have changed because Pogba has not been a factor at all because of injury. They needed that type of player, and they needed it now, especially that 4th spot is a realistic opportunity, and we know how important that is for United. They don't want to have another season without the Champions League. So the 50-60 million euros that they've spent on him now could easily be recouped if they make that 4th spot, and he could make the difference, and we saw that already. United have had problems in midfield for the last few years where they have lacked that reliable guy that gets the ball from the back of the pitch to the front reliably, creatively, or you can do it also by running.
Yeah.
One of those options. He can do it in a couple of ways, and I think if you add the shooting and the physical presence that he brings to it, and a bit of leadership as well, he ticks a lot of boxes for this team.
Yeah.
Well, he's hit the ground running. A quick look on those at those stats that I was mentioning. Ranked first for goals and assists since his arrival, for total shots, passes into the opposition box, and successful passes ending in the final third. Quite a niche category, that one, but a demonstration of his effectiveness in setting up the attack.
Yeah.
All right. It's not just him and the goal scoring at that end, though. It's also the sudden resoluteness of their defence. What is it? 3 clean sheets in a row in the league.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, you look at the Man United defence, and Harry Maguire was meant to go in to shore it up a little bit. We know that Wan-Bissaka can be very effective as a defender, but yeah, they've got that protection now. I think Fred has got to take a bit of credit for the way he's been playing in front of them as well. And so all that, you add that into the mix, and now you've got somebody like Bruno Fernandes is a more potent, like you say, he can drop off and get the ball. He'll pass it through. We saw him score the goal, get a penalty against Watford where he was the last man. So now that they can keep that quite solid at the back, you've got somebody who can break through lines, whether he runs through, passes through. So now they're much more of a force now, Man United.
Just checking out the stats, so the way that they've tightened up at the back, Glenn, and that's where they have to build their future success. The groundwork being laid there for a proper challenge, you think?
Yes, I think, if Pogba was at his very best, he'd be in that side. Probably Fernandes wouldn't have been even thought about. But they have tightened up, and I think Fred and Matic as well coming in. They have 2 players in that midfield that are going to protect those 2 centre-backs a little bit, and they're not as expansive in that midfield. Now they've got Fernandes, who's going to be allowed to play like an 8 come 10. But it is about protecting that back 4. I felt they were too open. And those centre-backs at Lindelof and Harry Maguire, not great 1v1. With a bit of protection there, which they've got. Wan-Bissaka on the right-hand side, a very, very good defender. He's got to get a little bit improvement in his attacking play. For me, doesn't do enough in the last third, but it's a solid base to go, and I think that's where United have said, right, we can't play this expansive football like United have played for many, many years. We've got to come solid first and then just start putting the jigsaw together. You can see it coming. There's a lot more confidence in United's performances than there was early in the season.
Absolutely. 3-0 against the disappointing Watford last weekend, 5-0 Thursday night against a 10-man opposition from Belgium, Bruges. This weekend they're taking on an Everton side who may consist of a tougher test, if you like, for the Red Devils. Another side, incidentally, who've also benefited from the recent introduction of a ball-playing Portuguese midfielder. In this case, the return of Andre Gomes. Rafa, what's the impact there for Carlo Ancelotti?
I mean, it's still early days for him. He's only just come back after a really horrific injury, and it's a minor miracle that we've seen already on the pitch after such a bad break.
Yeah.
Of course, he'll make a difference. I think, on the whole, Everton seem to have gone to a completely different level in terms of confidence. I mean, Everton would turn up under Marco Silva, and they were beaten very easily, and they knew that they were not going to come back. I mean, he had this horrific run of dozens and dozens of games where they never recovered from being 1-0 down. Yeah. With this team, you feel that even in this game where they conceded 4 goals, they kept playing. They never stopped. They created problems for Arsenal. They're good on the ball, and they get into these positions with players now. They get into the box. It's a much more fluid, much more fun Everton team that seem to be much happier to be playing together.
That's when you see him there, Gav, like you see when he seemed looking around before the ball comes. And what he done, because I saw that game as well, he done that all the time. Got himself in spaces where they couldn't get to him. Once he's got time, he can then just pick it apart like that great pass what he's done there. And I think because it was a dislocation, once they clunked it back in, it was a case of him just getting himself back. I think he's done brilliant to get back as quick as he can, but he's going to be so integral for them.
Right. They don't have another player like him?
No, they don't, no.
OK, which could be... Sorry.
He's a footballer,
yeah.
I think the big change for me is them playing two up front. Ancelotti's gone with the 2 up front, which might cause a slight problem for Gomez coming in. I think he prefers to be a 3 in midfield, but you got Sigurdsson comes off. He doesn't play wide left, so he's got a nice system now. Ancelotti, they know they're well drilled. But for me, the two strikers there, Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, now you've got a problem. You're playing against Everton. You can go long. You can go long and go direct and work off that, or you can go through. And the more Gomez gets fitter and plays, you can go through the pitch with him even more and Sigurdsson. So Ancelotti's found instantly a real balance. They're not so expansive as they were, you know, before under Silva. They're not playing out from the back ridiculously, taking too many risks. Ancelotti, you know, he's a wild old fox, isn't he? And he knows exactly how he wants that team to play.
Right. The front two, 9 goals in the last 7 between them. At the other end as well, how do you judge the work that's been done on the likes of Mason Holgate?
Yeah, but Mason Holgate is somebody that when he came, I think he came after John Stones from Barnsley, 2 million. And it didn't quite work out for him. You know, I think he's gone on loan a couple of times. He was totally out of the squad. They left him out of the squad. Sometimes he wasn't quite finding his way. But for some reason, you know, he's got himself going, got himself in the team. And now that Ancelotti has got there, Ancelotti's played him either centre-half, he's played holding midfielder, and he's played right back when I first started to see him. But he's got everything. And he's got a little bit of a nastiness about him as well. But what he does is he reads the game really, really well. He doesn't commit himself, gets himself in positions where he can make challenges like that one. And again, with this one, you watch how he just sees the play and then he just sees the danger. There it is, bam. And that's what he's capable of doing. This was like what he can do when he's just playing in front. He's got the skill. He'll just come out and then he'll just pass it, bam. And he'll just get on with it like that. Sees danger again. And so he's somebody that they've offered him a new deal, and rightly so as well, because he's been brilliant, and you know he's going to be a major cog for them.
Overall, there are some people who doubted Carlo Ancelotti's coaching pedigree coming into this job. There were issues with the way that he'd handled the situation at Bayern Munich, I think, Rafa, and certainly the way it ended at Napoli didn't inspire perhaps some people with confidence. How would you judge what he's done, and is it possible that Everton are building something, not necessarily at Liverpool's level, but they are building something that's going to be pretty special in the future? Yeah,
I think if you look at what he's done quickly and what they want to do as a club, they might go hand in glove because they've built, you know, they've got the new stadium coming eventually. There's a new approach from the club. You can tell they're now even talking about winning trophies and getting in that top 4. So he's aiming high, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as the backers are there with the money to say, look, we can go out and get some better players and keep improving this squad. I think he could be there for the long term. I think he sees it as a project. He's certainly, the impact he's had on the team very quickly is excellent, but you have to put sort of building blocks in. That's not going to happen at Everton overnight. It's going to be a long-term thing. And I think, you know, every season, if you see that they improve, they've certainly improved this season since he's come in. Now, next season's a big season for them, and you can see maybe in 2 or 3 seasons' time, possibly, if you can wait that long, Everton fans, you might have a real side that you're really looking forward to go and watching every week, and they can beat the top teams in the league and be playing in Europe. So there's a club there that are looking to do what maybe Spurs have done in the last 6 or 7, 8 years. Spurs have got to hang on to that position, by the way, because you've got Everton, I see, as a threat coming up on the inside rail, is like.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about Spurs very, very shortly, and a big game awaiting them this weekend. Your thoughts on Everton, Rafa, just to wrap up, and are they going to do it against Man United this weekend?
I'm not sure they're going to do it against Man United, but I think Everton have been looking for that transformative figure, that manager that takes them to that next level. And I think the doubts were that Ancelotti had never really done that in that role as a project manager. You know, he come in at the very top, do really well with top teams, and then move on to the next top job. But I think just his presence, his experience, this bit of stardust rubs off on everyone and excites everyone. Yeah. And that, for the time being, has already worked a lot in their favour and kind of pushed things forward and get things moving. And now they have to sustain that. Not so much maybe against Man United, but I think in the long run they can.
OK, well, they are in the conversation for the Champions League places. Who knows what a result this weekend could do for them. Meantime,